Biden has said he's not going to be the nominee this year for the Democrats. And by the way, I got a haircut if you can't tell. If I wanted to get my hair cut a bit. Here you go. And also we got glasses, so let's go with this. It's interesting what's going to happen. Biden did not go in public and all and say this. He did not do he did not get a picture, nothing of that nature out. It was not even a video. It was just an online tweet. It was an online tweet. Which is crazy that we have a platform that a president is willing to post from to announce that he's not going to run again. Which is something that's not been done since 1968 with Lyndon B. Johnson. It's insane. And even with Lyndon B. Johnson, it wasn't like he just put a little news little blurb in the newspaper or showed up on little TVs with a little post. No, he did a 4,000 word speech about it. He went in depth about why he wasn't going to run, but he was going to continue his tenure throughout his presidency. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen. I think I've seen a lot of people discuss this. We're at a crossroads of craziness right now. Is either good or evil is going to overthrow, and you can decide upon what you think good and evil is in this world. But what does the Democrats do from here? We have a guy that a lot of people wanted gone. They wanted gone. He had health problems for at least the past 2 years, and they kind of held that down, and now it's finally exploded. And Biden didn't go out and say that he was the one that decided upon, I'm not going to run again. He never went out and said it. It was on Twitter. And you know more than anyone else, you can hack anyone's account. I'm not saying they're hacking or anything, but this idea, we don't know for a fact that Biden is the one who said this. No one said that Biden agreed to this. It was just put out there, and it's like, okay, we have to make him do it. Was whenever he would say, I'm not going to step down, was publicly. But the one time he says, I'm not going to be running, is whenever he's not in public, and they had no one went out for the Democrats and explained the situation. It was kind of just left at, he's not going to run, which is a big caveat. It's a big crater of information. And we were on the surface and we were looking down and we're kind of like, this huge thing just happened. What's the reason for this? And there's no huge reason, but they're bound to have to give an answer. And the media recently, which has been great, has been asking Democrats tough questions. Mainly, what has happened? What has been happening? They've been discussing Biden's health. And a lot of times people have problems with media because they were not equally balancing out their questions. I don't care if you think they're equally balancing out their questions. They are going after some Democrats and they're questioning, what are they doing? And there's some networks that will not do it. But overall, I see a lot of people that are like, you know what? This is not bad. I would like to see both sides of the story. You want to see two sides of the coin, this idea. I want to understand why they think this and what they're doing. And I think the media, and especially the country, I want to know why Biden just dropped out today. Was it to give the Democrats more time? Because it seemed like recently, just a couple days ago, he seemed very confident that he was going to stay and he was going to win the nomination and he was going to be president again. And that's what he stood on. Now, what do you stand on? The Democrats have put them in the position that they have to go with Kamala. You cannot pick anyone but Kamala. She's been the vice president. She's been there. She knows this more than anyone else would. And mainly, there's no other better candidate. There is no other better candidate. Gavin Newsom from California? You want to go with him? The guy that no one likes. I've known a couple people who have left California because of how bad it's been run. He's the guy that's in charge. You want him? California's a huge part. Huge votes. That would not work. That would not work. So you have to go Kamala. Now you have to dissect, what has Kamala done? Well, first of all, to be a vice president, you have to echo a lot of what the main guy has said. Well, if you agree with what Biden has been saying, what Biden has done, he's been backing his decisions, half the country won't like you. From the start, they will not give you a shot. And honestly, let's give a fair reasoning here. And I'm going to say something you might hear me out upon, and a lot of people would probably agree, but a lot of people aren't willing to say it. It's not comfortable for some of us in some ways. It's to trust a woman president. And before you say anything, before you go crazy or anything in the comments saying, oh, he's sexist and all this stuff, let's explain. How many countries respect women quite like the United States of America does? Not many. Not many respect women quite like we do. How many people have had women, how many other countries have had women movements that have actually got stuff changed to the level of we have women trying to run for president? They get fairly paid good jobs. They have big roles in this society. There's some societies that women have no rights. And guess where that's at? You have places in the Middle East, you have places across some parts of Europe, Asia. Europe overall is fine, but like Asia has some parts, Africa has some parts, that it's not going to be treated fairly. The women are not treated fairly to any nature. Do you believe that if we have to make important calls to China, we have to settle Ukraine and the Russian war, we have to talk to people in the Middle East, that they're going to respect a woman's opinion on the situation? They don't trust their women in their own country, let alone an American woman who happens to be African American, black, however you want to call it. No country respects women, I would say, more, or at least not many, to the level of the United States. So we have to deal with other countries that do not respect women, sometimes in general, to make important calls to, and it's going to be done by a woman that is also not white. Countries do not respect that the same way. And that's unfair, but it's one of the main reasons why we've not had a woman as president. We had a black man as president, Barack Obama. But I think he's very articulate. I think he's a very smart, well-mannered person that people with his voice is very commanding and is a very intelligent guy. People respect that. People will respect no matter what you look like. If you come off as a respectable person that is very smart and has a good commanding voice that people will listen to, some people call it a radio voice, and they're like, you know what, I just want to listen to this guy talk. That's what Barack Obama did. I think listening to Barack Obama is honestly pretty good. No matter what you think of the guy, you're willing to listen. There's some politicians that you're not willing to listen to. So I don't think a lot of American voters would vote for Kamala for that reason. No matter what she's done, half of them would vote for not because of what she's done. I bet another bit would not vote because she's a woman. And also now it's, which candidate do you think is better? So a lot of people were just like, you know what, including me, I just want to see who's the better candidate. Trump or Kamala. We're going to see pretty quick. Also, we're going to see if she still wants the debate with J.D. Vance before she gets to Donald. That would be interesting to see how J.D. Vance holds up against Kamala. If Kamala gets wrecked, then Democrats are going to have to make some even tougher decisions. Tougher decisions than already. Because it's like, can we rock with someone that cannot hold up to a vice president, let alone the guy that we have to beat? It's going to be tough. And the Democrats win a different person. That's going to be even more messy because then you have so many other candidates going to be throwing their hat into the race and to see what happens. And then they're going to have a whole debate going on. And then you have to figure out who's the nominee. You have the debate. You have the main debate on September 10th going on ABC, live broadcast to everyone of any cable package of any sort has ABC on it against Trump. You have to figure out what you got to do. And you're in a worse situation than you were with the last debate. At least the last debate, you headed into it with the mindset of, you know what, maybe Biden can say some good words. Maybe Trump maybe slips up here. Maybe it's going to be more like 2020, starts trying to talk over Biden. And Trump came out with a very good game plan. I would say so. Again, he did not sometimes answer something. Sometimes he did not answer the questions, which if you go back and watch my review of the presidential debate, you would see that I mentioned that. I didn't like that he did not answer all the questions straight up. Sometimes tried to avoid some. But Biden consistently did that. And Biden just wrecked beyond belief. It was insane. If you're the Democrats right now, what do? You have Kamala. You have to have Kamala. You got to get her ready. You got to get her ready. But during this time, Biden is still going to be the guy as a president. If he falls on step down, we're going to have the first ever female president. And the Democrats that honestly might be the most preferred thing, because then we get a visual sight of what she is as president. And if she does good, maybe we can change our minds on some people. some people's minds will be changed. Again, some people's minds, once you're labeled a Republican, their mind's made up, are they going to vote for you or not? Same thing versus Democrat. This is kind of how it is. It's just kind of how it is. Some people are just naturally biased, and that's not how the party's supposed to be for. The party's supposed to be there for, we're going to find the best candidate, and we're going to support them, and if you want to vote for us, cool. If you're not, that's fine. And it was not supposed to be a complete bias fest that people are just, if you don't vote for them, you're racist, you're sexist, you support baby killers, or like stuff like that nature. And then you look at the other side, and it's like, you hate America if you vote for them. Oh, you want to bring communism and socialism to the country, vote for them. Like, what happened? Why is that a thing? I think at one point I don't think it was like that at one point. I think Trump at times is at fault for some of it, because he brought the idea of, we're not going to sit here and have a formal conversation. You can look at the debates happened in 2012 when Barack Obama, and I forgot the other guy's name, was up there, but it seemed very respectful. You had some bias, of course, but when a guy comes out in 2016 and starts calling people names and goes at you for everything that you say, calls your wife a dog, ugly, everything in the book, and starts taking personal shots at you, you have a tendency to retaliate, because your pride's on the line at that point. And a lot of these politicians are very much prideful. And instead of showing their pride in their quality of work, they say it in their voice. And they say it with words. And the only guy that could do that was Trump. And people tried to match it. It wasn't, you're going to have to match what we do with professionalism, standing up here, how you doing, sir, how you doing, ma'am, type of action. We decided to go back to like middle school type of fights, of middle school arguments, of yelling back and forth at each other. And Trump's going to win that every single time. Because he's smart, he's quick with his mouth and with his words, and he knows what to say. He's been a businessman all his life. He knows what to say. And that's why a lot of people do respect him in other countries, because he knows what to say, and he understands the business side of things. And he knows how to get people to do what he needs to do. And as a country, a lot of people like that of, okay, we have a guy that knows what he's doing and actually gives respect. He gives respect to other people and gets respect because of the way he acts. Again, crazy meets crazy, and respects each other. That's what happens. But it's also how do you contain your crazy. I don't like people trying to call other people names within the political world. I would like more respect for that. But the Democrats and the media for them are probably going to end up pushing a lot of the racial tension again. If you don't support here, you're black, and all that stuff. I remember Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, which is a really dumb pull to do anyways. And if Kamala does that, it's even more stupid, because that, first of all, to be repeating past action, which was really weird. Second of all, you're talking to about 13-14% of the population. Probably 3% aren't even old enough to vote. Let's say about a tenth of a percent of them are in jail, and then another 1% probably just don't vote, even though they have the opportunity to. That's about 10% of America you're really talking to, saying, if you don't for me, you ain't black. Well, what about the other 90% of the country? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. But that's what Democrats do. And trying to call Trump racist, which they've done for years, is completely contradicting themselves. It contradicts himself. There's no black person that knows Trump, that has been on a political level, especially a celebrity level, that's had a problem with him. Has had no problem with him. Again, I've already discussed this before, but let's go a quick review. I'm a sports guy. I'm going to give you two stories to help you out with this. During the rape trials of Mike Tyson, who was one of the few people to ever defend Mike Tyson? Donald Trump. Look it up. I've already discussed another video before, but I'll give you just a little oversight. During the rape trials, Mike Tyson, during the 90s, I believe, there was one man that actually helped him out, that supported him on a public stage, and that was Donald Trump. How many people do that? How many people actually stand with someone when everyone's bashing them? Look in the full story of it. Look up the interview. Trump doesn't have any bad points. And then before, he created a USFL league to try to go against the NFL, which let many athletes, mostly black athletes, you're going to discuss race here, go into a league early not straight out. You give a different option than the NFL and go into a league to get your skill set better. People like Herschel Walker, who he has supported for decades, not just small years, decades on a prominent level. So people just didn't like him as he talked a lot, so they call him racist, even though you can't find those actions. You can't find actions. And we're talking about Biden not being racist. That's crazy within itself. He didn't want his kid to go to a public school because he called it a racial jungle, I'm pretty sure. Some sort. I'll put up the quote somewhere. But he called it a racial jungle within the place. And no one brings that up. I know Trump brought up a part of something said in the 90s. To be a great businessman nowadays, you have to be able to work with multiple diversities of people. Politics, it's mostly white people. Let's be honest. Businessmen of many ages, you have to work with people. And he's had many people go on his show, women, men. Does not matter the background that you've had. If you do your job well, he respects you. If you don't, you got to get out of there. It's not race, it's the quality of work. It's the quality of work. And a lot of people try to overlap with each other. The quality of work and your race or your background or your sex does not matter if your quality of work is poor. And that's why I don't like, oh, it's going to be the first black female president. Well, is her quality of work well? It does not matter what her background is. If we're voting for Kamala because I feel like this is going to be a huge thing. This idea of that should be the first black president ever, a black female president, or just female president in general. Because I know that was push of Hillary, should be the first female president ever. That does not matter. This idea of, is the quality of work well? Will you act well? Will people respect you? A lot of people don't respect women, mainly in other countries, and you have to deal with other countries in a lot of deals. How's your quality of work? Well, we saw what Biden was, and you supported him. I mean, I don't think Obama supports Kamala being up there. I'm pretty sure earlier that he does not endorse her, at least yet. That's interesting to see. So, I just don't see an outcome that this ends up well for the Democrats. Is there a chance? Yes, but Kamala really got to steal the show. And that's going to be pretty surprising if that happens. I'd be surprised. I'd be pleasantly surprised. She goes out and does great. But, excuse me, it would surprise me. But Biden has dropped out. This has gone down as probably one of the craziest political months in the history of American history. I'm not saying this is the most important presidential election ever. I'm not saying that because we've had a huge amount before, especially like with Lincoln. The Civil War stuff doesn't happen without him, but also the North and the slaves probably aren't freed without him. That's pretty important. Putting George Washington as president, that's pretty important. They wanted him to be king, but he said, no, I don't want that. I want to be president. That's why I respect George Washington. That's why. There's a lot of huge ones throughout history. This is another big one. You have times in history that you look back upon and say, this was a pivotal moment in American history. We might be living through one. Do you stick with the Democrat side or the Republican side? That's up to you. I'm not saying you have to vote Republican or you have to vote Democrat. I'm just saying the road is more difficult for Democrats to win the election than the Republicans. Because people want unity, right? That's what we've decided as a country. We want to be unified. That's what American stands for. One nation under God. I only see one president mentioning God in a positive light. I heard one person say, talking about that she is Catholic turned Christian, and she's saying that it's selfish to use God in a way to say, oh, God protected me here. God was watching over me. It's not selfish. That's what God wants you to do. So that's what Jesus said. In my name, I protect you. In my name, I do great things for you. It's not there. If it was selfish of him, it would have said, look what I did. I was able to avoid it. I was able to avoid the bullets. He didn't say that. God protected them. That's what he said. One nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. It's one of the most important lines in America, the United States. It's right there. Only one guy is mentioning God and the protection under them. And God we trust is on our coins, is on our paper, is on our money. Only one guy is mentioning it, and it's in a positive light. And some people are talking about, oh, I'm Christian, I believe this, and they don't read the Bible, and they try to talk like there's something. You don't understand. Read the Gospels If you want to understand more, read Job, and if you want to understand more about life, read Proverbs. If you understand about Jesus, read the Gospels. If you understand about the end of life, read Revelation. If you want to understand more about yourself, read Proverbs. If you want to understand why life is just unfair, read Job. That would be a great reading study for anyone that's wanting to understand more about the Bible and life in general. Because a lot of people on television don't do the research. Do not do the research. And they say it's selfish to say, God protected me. But whenever you're in the hospital or someone else in the hospital and they say, God protected me, God saved me from cancer or these injuries I've had, oh, God saved me. That's not selfish. That's praising the Lord for what he's done for you. And people try to talk about like that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's not selfish. That is praising the Lord who has control over you and things around you. He's all-knowing. He's all-powerful. He took a step back because we want a free will. And since we want a free will, we cause sin within the world. And sin and God cannot mesh. So God took a step back and let us decide what we want to do. And a lot of times when good things are going our way, we say, thank you. Thank you to ourselves. But when things go bad, we blame God. And we wonder why God doesn't intervene and make everything perfect. When we had everything perfect, we messed it up. And everything was cursed afterwards. Us and God were separated. We chose that. We chose that as humans. We chose that, and we still choose that. Have you ever sinned? Before you blame Adam and Eve, like you haven't failed in every temptation before. Something to think about. Something to think about. I know I got a little off topic there, but it's just something to think about because it made me upset. People who use religion in a bad, not religion, people who use following God in a negative light to make their agenda pushed, upsets me. Because so many people don't do research upon it, and now people out there will believe that using God to praise him and say, God saved me here is a bad thing now. Because I don't care what y'all say. If you got a camera in front of you, people will listen, and a lot of people actually follow. So you got to be careful what you say at times, especially if you're on a public network like an ABC, Fox, NBC, CBS. People will blindly follow you because you're out there. You've had no credentials to your record, nothing that to prove that we should listen to you outside of just Lifetime on TV, but people will because they're bored and they don't do research on their own. They don't. And that's not okay. That's not okay. But we want clicks and views, so we're going to say whatever we want. Makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. I was off topic right there. But back on topic. Republicans, Democrats, I'm not saying which one's right, which one's wrong. But again, we're talking about unity. I said that wrong. Unity. United. That's how you say it. Being united. Republicans, I've never seen a political crowd that much united than a Republican convention right there. That shows unity of some sort. That shows unity. That shows it. Right there. That was unified. Democrats are the most ununified people you will find right now. We don't know who the next nominee is going to be. The guy that was in charge is going to step down. From Twitter, he said that. And then he's still going to be president, even though he says he's incapable of actually running again. And the vice president's throwing up, but a former president of yours is not supporting her. In a way, a lot of people in the Democrat Party are not supporting her. And a lot of Democrats will not be supporting her. So now you have this mesh going on here. That's very ununified. And then you have the Republicans that are heavily unified right now, more than ever. Especially after Trump got shot. See what this fist up in the air like that? That's unified. That brought dignity to the whole party. Democrats don't have that moment. They don't have that moment to say, that's when we stood for America. They don't have that. But they have many moments that they said that's when they split America. I'm not saying that Republicans are perfect. But we're judging the president that was just in charge and the woman that was right next to him during that time and let stuff like pulling everyone out of Afghanistan at once, even though we had a perfectly fine plan under Trump to get them out safely, and they didn't do it, and now we left millions to billions of objects that military can use down there and messed everything up. Iran became a very became like this, has nuclear, it was very close to having nuclear power. Nuclear warfare now. They used to be broke. Wonder where that changed. And lots of people talking about they want abortion to be changed back, the Roe v. Wade to be reversed back in there, and they blame Trump. It happened in 2022, I'm pretty sure. That's under the Biden administration. That's under the Biden administration. And also blame your state. Don't blame the guy that started. I'm not even going to get mad at Biden about that, or Trump. Blame your state if you're going to do it. They're the ones that decided upon it. If you let's discuss this real quick. I'm going to discuss it real quick. I know I'm off topic one more time. I'm sorry about that, but I want to get some points off. Abortion right now. A lot of people use the idea if you're raped or any of that nature, unconsensual sex, and you have a child, that you become pregnant, that's why we need abortions to be allowed. I understand that, and I follow for that. But you know how small of a percentage that is compared to people who just have sex at a young age or whenever, consensually, and are just too ignorant to understand the consequences of it. Just too ignorant to understand the consequence of it. That's a way higher of a percentage than what rape and unconsensual sex is. And if it comes for that small of a percentage, yes, I'm okay with abortions for that. I'm okay personally for that. But if you just want to mess around and have sex for fun of it, unprotected, whatever you want, I can't support that. I cannot support that. That was your own doing. That was your own doing. And a lot of times people who've had abortions regret it heavily. Regret it heavily. They do. But at such a young age, people do stuff like that. At my age, I've seen people in my school with kids. It's crazy. It's crazy. If you're not wanting a child, if you don't want a child, close your legs and hit the books. That's the only best way to do it. If you want a good future, close your legs and hit the books. That's all you got to do. It's a big difference. Again, that small percentage, I'm okay with. Nothing else, though. Nothing else. So we're just supporting the idea of not actually having some decency. Having some decency of some sort. Actually have some self-responsibility of some sort. If you don't want to do it, great. Don't do it. Don't have a child. Don't have a child. If you want a child, do it. Go on ahead. Nothing's stopping you. Nothing's really stopping you. But if you know the consequences, don't put yourself in that possibility. Don't. Have some self-responsibility and stay away from it. That's all. That's all I got to say to that. That's all I got to say. There we go. That's my little opinion on it. Put on the comments anything you want to say. I'm off a little tirade here. I'm just getting my points off. I would love to hear your points on everything. But Biden did stuff you probably didn't like. Trump did stuff you probably didn't like. But I do remember groceries went up under Biden. Not the same for Trump. We started using gas. We were using the supplies that we had, the extra supplies of gas that we had. We used that under Biden. Under Trump, we didn't do some stuff. And well, we had a tension with North Korea during that time. That was not fun. But Kamala endorses what Biden does. Do you like that? Do you like what J.D. Vance is saying? Remember, these guys, Trump's not young. He almost got killed. This guy could be filling in at any time. He really could be. He really could. Do you support him? Do you support Kamala? Who's going to be the vice president for her? Who knows? We're going to see. I know this video probably could have been done in about 20 minutes, but I went on some tirades. I'm sorry about that. But put in the comments your own opinions about this and all things you want to say. Hope you have a great day, y'all. Stay safe. And remember, God bless y'all.